Hi everyone, Matt Morris here in Waterloo, and it's a gorgeous day. It's about 0 degrees Celsius. For American friends, that's about 32 degrees Fahrenheit. And we're going to try and make a Moai here. I've carved one on the right hand side. It's a Moai from the island of Rapa Nui, about 2 or 3,000 kilometers west of Chile in the ocean. And there were over 1,000 made. 300 are still in the quarry. There's 500 that were moved around the island. A few were taken off the island, and most of them were maybe 13 feet tall, over 10 tons, but some were even bigger. So lots of history on the internet you might want to check out. I had a great discussion with someone from Rapa Nui who was trying to save the language, and we had a great talk about cultural appropriation, and there's more on that on my website. But for now, we're going to try a carve. I've got one saw I'm going to use. But for any kids out there, a robust plastic knife is probably safe, but again, parents should always approve it. You do most of the carving with these two items today. I would also use a grapefruit knife sometimes, but I want to keep it fairly safe tools, although this can be a dangerous tool, so be very careful. I've got a plasticine maquette of the Easter Island, sorry, not Easter Island, Rapa Nui is the word I should be using. And here's my 2 towers of a 5-gallon, so 10 gallons of snow, I guess, has been sintering. This has been sintering for a number of days, so it's going to be an interesting carve. I'm going to make the front there, but interestingly, I'm going to start on the side, and I want to show you my main approach. I'm going to hold this up. Look how that is placed. Maybe there would be about perfect. I need to cut off that top section. And if you kind of watch me there, I'll put a line there and look at it one more time, because this is a key starting cut. Not that you can see that line. And there's a little bit of snow hanging off the left, which is a little weird. So we're going to do lots of comparison today. And I'm going to cut off that back just to get rid of it. And I'm going to cut off, look where I am. I'm past the halfway mark. I'm going to cut this right off. This is my starting point. There. Is that amazing? That cut? There's so little left. That is the starting point. Notice how my angle is already fantastic. There's a little swoop on the back, which I guess I already took off when I took off that chunk. So we're working on the big shapes, and if we can get this right, you're going to have success. That first cut, I find, is absolutely key. Now the top also, you may have noticed, angles off a little bit here. So we're working on the profile, which is the side shot. So we're getting there. Now it's that I want to work on the top of the eyes, the brow. And there's an angled cut. Look at the angle that I've got to get right about here. And I'm not going straight in. On the 45, I'm going to go in about this far, just that far. Let's see how that looks. So I'm going in, oh, the angle is slightly more maybe. It's pretty key, eh? I'm going to angle it so you can see, and I'll be able to work more easily. And then I need to cut up into that angle. There. Now I can accomplish all of these cuts with the safe plastic knife as well. But I'm using saw partly for speed today. I'm always going fast, aren't I? And there's a swoop in that nose. So we want to kind of take, oh, let's use this plastic knife to prove it can be done. And I'm just going to hold it fairly long. I'm just going to take out some of that material to make a little bit of a swoop up that point. I'm on the rotator here, which makes it a lot easier for me. Beautiful sunshine. Look at the shadows it's already producing on this. Beautiful. Hey, want to welcome our new members from near Edmonton, Westmount, Quebec, Riverview, New Brunswick. They're going to have their winter festival soon, and they've got a team down there making 300 pounders. 300 of my pounders, because they've got 300 pails, and they are going to have some major fun at their festival. Okay, let's turn it sideways and keep working on the profile. I won't worry about the front yet. There, okay, hold that up. And you can do this too. Now, you may not have a plasticine, maquette as they're called, but a picture works very well. You'd hold a picture maybe to the side. So it looks like I gotta cut under that nose now. So I'm going to try and memorize where that cut goes. And I'll start a little bit of a hole there, but then I'll go back quickly. Sometimes this can take a long time because you're doing so much checking. Check, check, check. How's that going? Not bad. Not bad. And then down from the lips. In a little deeper and then down. A little deeper and then gotta come down. Now I think if I can establish this line down here, that will help me get the shape really cooking. So where's that line? I'm going to memorize right about there. I'll go a little low, just so I can cut a line I can see. And then, so how am I? Well, yeah, I'm a little low, I guess. Not bad though. It's pretty close. I could hold it to the side like you would be. Yeah, let's do that. Okay. So I'm going to cut up to that line. As soon as you get a big line like this going, it really starts to define the shape. Now I'm going to look at it straight for myself and come around the front and then up the other side as well, hoping that my proportions on both sides are about right. This rotator really helps. Now who knows, maybe you buy a rotator. They are very super cheap depending on where you find them. And I just screwed mine onto an old piece of plywood. But being able to cut like this off the ground even, because if you're cutting on the ground, you'll have some challenges, but it can be done. And don't let that hold you back if you don't have a rotator. Or lazy Susan, I don't know if that's the appropriate word for something like that these days. Let's go back and see where I am. I'm at 0, and I'm starting to get warm. But I can't take off my coat because my mic's in my coat. Got to angle a little more. Soon we'll be moving to the front. And you can see as a reference, the Moai I've already carved on the front there. Yeah, not bad, not bad. We could do the ears, which are so long, but I may not have enough material. You know what? I think I'm close enough to switch to the front view. I'll take a little more off there. There's the front, which looks totally kind of silly almost. I guess I'll even it up a bit. There's the joint of my pail, because these are such old pails. I usually pound them or drop them just ever so slightly to let them seat together, and then sometimes I'll punch, if it's new snow, I'll punch where the seam is to really let it join. But this is an old block and we are experimenting. Okay, next key thing, if I hold it on the front, we're going to try and get the nose going. Okay, the nose, how wide is that nose? It's pretty wide when you look at the ratios there. So with that information, I'm going to go something like this and this. Always err on wide versus narrow, because it's harder to add snow than it is to subtract. This is a subtractive art, by and large. Alright, so I've dug a line in here. That'll get most of it. But that angle I had up here, I only went to the area of the nose. Now I have to go deeper. So I'm going to start cutting in. Hopefully you can see that there. I'm going to leave my light knife there to decide, once I turn it, how far down should that get. It's getting pretty thin, isn't it? Yeah, pretty close. I think that'll do it. So let's get carving. I'm going to carve this out, and that triangle is going to pop out. There you go. And how about the other side? Carve it down and then pop it out. Whoa, there's a big one. Now it's starting to look like something. Okay. So then we are going to shave this down a little bit, because if I hold that up there, and you can see it very quickly, it's kind of an arc. The arc goes down. Oh, I got some ice in that old snow block. I start slicing that down. Take out that triangle. Same on the far side. Cut that out. Clean up that side a little bit. Now, I'm about to show you, I'm going to take that nose back. I'm about to show you where I've noticed some new carvers have challenges, and that's up here. Because you look at that and you say something's wrong. Now, compare these two. Can you see what's going on? If I had a shot from above, this line is straight across. This line on this one is a big curve. And I'm going to show that to you on my maquette. Look at the curve on the top of that. So instead of straight across, I need to curve this off. And that, I think, is where people have had challenges in the past with this shape. Now you notice when I pushed, I broke off the edge because this was not supported. When I get near the edge, I should stop and come back from the other side and come in because then it's supported. All right, same on this side. I'm going to switch over here. I'm going to come up from the bottom, come down from the top, just round that off. There's some chunks of ice in mine. Man, if this was a brand new sintered block with fluffy snow that I just made maybe 2 hours ago, this would have been just like butter. I'm going to take off these angles in the nose. Once you get to a certain point, it actually starts looking like your target shape, in this case a moai. And sometimes you don't need to look at the model or the maquette or the picture. You can just carve away. Another key thing is to get this line lined up with this one. Can you see where it's wrong right now? It's too high, so I got to come down. I'm going to come down a little lower so that if the nose wasn't there, this line would go straight through. And that's the kind of thing that will really show if you don't get it right. So my nose is a little bit to the right, and if you stand back lots and take a look at it, you'll notice things like that. Okay, so I'm going to take off a little bit on the right, and then I'm going to round off this nose because if you look at the maquette and compare, the nose comes sort of to a, look at that point. It's almost like, see the V? So we need to round off this point right here. Now I'm breaking the rules. I'm breaking off the edge, aren't I? I should come back from that side. Come more up to a point. Here we go. More up to a point. Maybe a little more off these edges here. Okay, now the mouth. We've got that frown or pout. And I'm going to take off this angle a little bit on both sides. It has to kind of bleed into what I've already got coming down the side there. I'll take this right down to the bottom, and then I'm going to swoop this out because it kind of comes up to a point there. Okay. We're coming along. On the sintering of buckets, you know, I'm trying to get the message out that you can take the pail off right away when you fill a pail and pound it in. Take it off right away, and then go make more. So maybe you make 10. Maybe make 10 the night before. You plan a little bit, make 10. Then the next day you go out and you know they're going to be sintered well because they've been sintering all night. So I'm kind of coming off that arc here that I should now put in. Normally here I'd use a grapefruit knife, which is serrated on both sides, but it's pretty dangerous. So we're going to try with our knife. Very light touches. Very light. You know what? I think it's time to bring that camera in because we want to see some detail here, don't we? And let's do this. There, that's good. Let's go closer. How's that? Let's try that. Still recording. 13 minutes. I think we're okay. Let's get there. So now, come in on a little bit of an angle, lift out the snow, come in on the top. The quality of the snow is not great, but we're still having fun. Okay. And then we come down to smooth it into what we already have. Got a couple of holes here from ice chunks that have fallen out. And it's not straight across, it kind of bleeds back into the shape. So I'm losing my mouth opening, but that's okay because the overall shape is more important at this point. And now I will put that in again. Okay. Doesn't have to be perfect at this point. We're more trying to get the overall perspectives right, the big shapes correct. Now, let's try and do some nostrils. 2 lines. 1 line here, 1 line there, and that releases that shape. There's now a hole in the middle, so when I cut more out, it'll fall into that hole I've already created. Oh dear. And I should be looking straight on to make sure those nostrils are lined up. We don't want a nostril on one side different than the other. But it's coming, it's coming. And then we'll round that off, a little round off there. Okay, now at this point, we want to, oh, you can see that, good. I want to define this a little more, a little deeper. Now I'll cut up to it, which will give me a nice finish. And I'm at 15:30, so I'm past 15 minutes, which means it's not going to be an Instagram TV anymore. It's going to be YouTube, and that's just fine because I don't feel as pressured on time. Nose is a little big. Now, as you see this, you're probably catching things that I haven't caught yet. Yeah, we definitely have skipped on the ears. We could have been a little wider if we really wanted ears. Now, at this point, I'm going to pull it back because we want to talk about polish. The gloves I'm wearing are very thin and they have very minimal seams. So I'm going to carefully, oh, I missed an edge up top. I had some soft snow up here, so I've lost that edge. Very gently with this fragile block, I'm just polishing or sanding. I think I used to say sanding a lot, but I think polish is the better word. Smooths out all those rough cuts I've got. But boy, getting this shape right, a lot of it is about cutting like this first and then having that big slice off. You saw that aha moment when I'm so far back on this block, but it allows the nose to have room. This is thin, yes, and then we get that angle right, then we're looking pretty good. So, what would be next? I'm sure you have ideas. I've got a couple myself. I'm going to round these off. A little sharp edge really pops and you realize, oh, that sharp edge is not good. Or these edges on the nose. Cut those down a little bit, followed by a little bit of a sand. I'm now comparing it to the model I had done earlier, and it looks like we're coming in, we want to come in a little more towards the top, maybe a little thinner at the top. And a little bit of polish. Oh, look at this chunk I've got here. Can I just polish that away maybe a little bit? Can you imagine making a 10-ton version of this out of volcanic rock on the island of Rapa Nui? That would be a story. It was way back in the 1250 to I think 1500. Calculate how many years ago that was. That was a long time ago. The island of Rapa Nui. I'm going to take a little off this side. Now that I'm looking at it straight, I can really start to see left versus right and some of the issues that I'm creating for myself. There you go. I think that'll do it for now. That'll get you going on the main shapes. Once you get the main shapes, you can really have some fun with it. But get out there and enjoy this wonderful weather. We do need some fresh snow if we're in KW, Kitchener-Waterloo, Ontario. We could use some fresh snow. But hey, we'll work with what we have. And we're learning, and hopefully you can learn too and enjoy winter. Take care. See you next time.